We want to welcome you again to the University of Karate, where we're joining with Sensei Mike Biddle again for a conversation, a part two of a series of talks we're dealing with the circular movements of Uechi-Ryu, also known as the circular movements of Sanchin. We're examining, as usual, the various principles that make up the martial arts. And again, we're looking at today's science and also principles of motion that allow Uechi-Ryu and its Sanchin emphasis to really give an incredible biomechanical masterclass on efficient movement and also effective movement, especially when we talk about infighting, which is characteristic of Southern style Shaolin techniques, which is the style that we generally use. We want to let Sensei Biddle jump in and talk about, and this part two. Part one dealt with footwork and the motions of the feet for getting to the opponent to move back, forward, circularly, left, right. But now we want to look at hand motions, both strikes, blocks, and other types of motions that are circular in the hand or the upper body movement of Uechi-Ryu. We're going to jump right in and allow Sensei Biddle to get us into this topic of what he calls the two swords. Sensei Biddle.
Yeah, that was introduced to me by my instructor. We were chatting after class. Like I said, I used to work out with one of my instructors all night. And he said to me one time, he goes, Uechi-Ryu, you could call it twin swords techniques. I'm like, what? And he said, yeah, just here do a circle block. Do a circle block where you do the circle block, you bring your hand in, and then you come back to your Waoki type position. And I did. He goes, okay, hold on a second. So he went and got two sticks, and he put one in each hand. He says, now do the same motion. And I did, and he said, you see how the one makes the way for the other. So as you do the circle with one hand, the other hand is coming across and in and down, and then when you come back out, it's created the pathway for the second sword. You have to watch the circle block technique enough to see how both hands interact. And this is a problem I have, a small segue, I won't stay here long, watching modern Uechi-Ryu techniques is everybody emphasizes on the circle hand and they forget the other one. It's sort of just like riding the wave. I spent a lot of hours watching Master Ken Uechi, how he moves his other hand. It's like a magician, folks. Sleight of hand. Don't watch the one they want you to watch. Lesson 101. All right, short segue. That was it. So the circuit block has multiple motions going on at the same time. Most of our techniques have multiple motions going on at the same time. If you think about all of them, there's multiple things happening at the same time. So over the years, as I was looking at this, I started examining the circular patterns. And in Sansei-Ryu, the opening of Sansei-Ryu has a double figure eight movement done with both hands. 99% of people don't do it correctly. Most people cheat because it's a very complicated movement. And there's a reason that they don't teach that early on, because most people don't do it right. So I used to watch that Sansei-Ryu opening motion, and I'm like, wow, those hands are doing a bunch of things. So one of the things you see when you look at a circle block, and I'm not even talking about the Sansei-Ryu movement at the moment, but if you do a circle block with a two-hand motion, you see two circles. If you watch our Sanchin draw back and thrust, you have a circle. It's a movement in, back, out, and then in again. There's several circles happening at the same time. If you watch that Sansei-Ryu movement, you see, I'm going to just say it the way it is, you're going to see double figure eights. And that's where most people get this movement wrong, is they get the figure eight with typically they do it with, if you do it with the left hand, they don't get the right hand figure eight done correctly. So I was playing with Sansei-Ryu a number of years ago, and that's a whole other conversation with the numbers. And when I figured out that movement, the Sanchin-Ryu movement, I'm like, holy crap, that's double figure eights. One's literal, one's horizontal, and one's vertical. So it's like patting your head and rubbing your tummy at the same time. It breaks your brain. Really, that's why most people don't do it well. So that opened up. And then I started looking at all of the movements. And mind you, there's a point in my career where I abandoned all the kata except for Sanchin, Seisan, Sanchin-Ryu. Because that's what Cameron brought over, that's what he taught. The others were added. They're good, they're fine. They express techniques and they're great. I was at a point in my learning curve that I didn't need that anymore. I wanted to look purely at the three main forms. So I started extracting the circles. And then when I did the Sanchin-Ryu exercise I did, it sort of broke my mind, and then I became circles. That's all I ever did. That's all I ever do now. Once you extrapolate the circle, you've got to see the circle. You've got to see it and visualize it, and then realize the circle can be laid. Let's do the figure eight, the infinity sign. Now lay that. You can do that vertically, up and down. You can do that horizontally, sideways. You can do that at angles. And you can do that at infinite angles. So I started, and I got this from the Sanchin-Ryu movement. So I started extrapolating all the circles out of Sanchin, the stepping, that fell into the movement thing we've talked about in the prior video. And I took it out of all the other techniques, and I just started looking at all the circles, and then I started putting them together. Now I've got infinite circles. My hands can go any direction, all directions, and no directions. Then you start looking at the physics of that. Most karate styles outside of Chinese styles, and even the Okinawan styles, have adapted to more of a linear. And even our style has been victim of that. It's visualized it as a linear system. When it's not a linear system, it's a circular system. But most styles now are linear. They straight punch, straight back fist, straight, round kick, front kick. They're all linear techniques. They're not moving in circles. They're not moving at angles. So with just my arms and my upper body, I extrapolated those movements into circular patterns. So now I'm moving all directions. My hands are moving, constantly moving. What that opened up for me was infinite angles of attack and infinite lines of force. And you've got to think of the physics of this. A circular motion creates what's called centripetal force. It's like if you picture a golf swing. The club is swinging and it's creating impact at the end range, the club head. If I'm moving my hands in a circle, the impact is at the end range where my hand exists. And I'm doing a straight circle directionally at John right now, and everywhere my hand is moving is an impact point. I can be going out and I can strike high. I can come down and strike low. I can come down farther and strike low. I can come under and strike up. And then I can vary that circle by moving it changing the plane of the circle. So now I have infinite planes, lines of angle, and I can direct that force wherever I want to release that centripetal force. That's why if you look at the Shaolin styles, even the northern styles, you see the long circular motions. Don't get fooled by length. Again, I said in another video, the presentation is one thing, application is another. Don't get stuck on the presentation. You're being fooled by the magician. Just because a long style, long form, long arm Shaolin martial artist does it long-wise doesn't mean he can't do it short. That's a fallacy to think that. It's like in Eskrima, there's two, I don't know what they are now, but there used to be two main forms, long form and short form. One was inside, one was longer, but doesn't mean either one of them can do the other. Mm-hmm. Don't make the mistake. When you're moving, now, again, I've got to bring this back to Sanchin, because the expression all is Sanchin means so much. We'll go into that. We'll talk about that at one point. The structure has to be maintained. Don't get your elbows outside. Sanchin, Uechi-Ryu, Sanchin is all in line. Everything stays inside. Are there exceptions? Yes, but they're the exceptions. Everything is in line. Elbows in, arms in, hands in. They can move outside, but they need to stay within the construct of the inline system. That means what has to happen is the body has to move, which gets us back to the stepping. That's the breakthrough in all this, if you see this. In order to accommodate the inline position, you have to accommodate with proper moving techniques. You have to move properly. If you don't move properly, you can't do the inline. If you do the inline, you're going to get stuck without the moving and vice versa. So I wanted to practice these techniques with power. So I don't know if you've heard of it. If you haven't, go look it up. Bas Rutten, who was an MMA guy, one of the early guys, he went to all palm strikes, and he developed a training aid that had 3 arms on one side, it had a head, and had a lobe thing for striking knees. So he had an upper arm, a middle arm, and a low arm. So he had 6 arms, a head, and a middle point. So I would practice on that thing. I spent hours and hours practicing that thing, coming at all the angles I could come at and create power in all those angles. I did a video one time where I filmed myself doing this. And then when I replayed it, I have a golf video thing where I can break it down. So I watched how many impacts I made. I made 67 strikes in 14 seconds. Do the math on that. Now, did they have power? Yeah, you wouldn't want to get hit by any of them because you could hear it. You could hear the impact on the thing. Is it a massive blow? No. But Sugar Ray Leonard didn't need to do the knockout punch. He would drill you with 30 of them, then you'd be unconscious before you hit the ground. So the circular movement allowed me to create multiple lines of attack, and by moving my body, this is what was important, that's what I learned on this device. If I angled my hips and stepped properly, I could create the proper angles to generate the power. And my body created power, rotational power. So the arms don't have to move a lot to create the rotational power. If you, example, watch Bruce Lee's fist, don't watch his arm, watch his hips. And watch his shoulders. He does the 1-inch punch. He creates rotational power with a little quick movement of his hips and a little quick movement of his shoulders. That's how it's done. So the circular movements, once extrapolated, open up infinite angles. I went to, my son wanted to learn, and I didn't want to teach him, so I took him to a non-Uechi-Ryu school. They let me come and practice. They eventually invited me to come and teach and do some things. I used to spar. And then they wanted me to come to their black belt class and spar with their black belts. And I would spar with them. And then one of the black belts, he was a 2nd or 3rd degree black belt. He asked me, he said, "Mr. Biddle, I brought my video camera. Can I film this? Because I want to see where you're hitting me." He says, "Because it's from everywhere." So he filmed it. He says, "I don't understand what you're doing." So he filmed it. Because he couldn't understand the angles that I was coming from. That was what blew their mind, because they were a linear system. And when I was, and this was 20-some years ago, so this is a long time in my evolution. But nevertheless, all the angles created so many opportunities. If you think if your reverse punch goes one direction, that's all you've got. That's your angle. That's easy to block. Try blocking something that's coming that can change motion in an instant. And sometimes the direction it's coming is not the idea. That's the magician. I'm going to end with this. Why do martial artists, Kung Fu, Chinese styles, move their hands? Why are they moving, creating this rhythm, blah, blah, blah? Because the human brain is very good at adapting to patterns. It's evolution. So they get you understanding that I'm doing this pattern, and suddenly they reverse it. It's the magician's sleight of hand. That's why they do it. It's a pattern. They want you to recognize the pattern, and then they're going to change it on you. But you can only do that with a circular motion.
All right. I think there are numerous people listening to this that there are enough light bulbs going off to short circuit a major city with the light bulbs going off as people are listening to some of these things. These are all techniques and principles that are seen, taken from Sanchin and seen in the kata Seisen and Sanseru in Uechi-Ryu. And we are thankful for having Sensei Bido to share some of his insights and findings as he's been studying and researching and practicing and developing an understanding of these techniques for over 40 years. We're here at the University of Karate, again, trying to share and create dialogue that we want you to continue in the comment section below. Please continue to make comments, to ask questions, to enter into conversation with Sensei Bido down in the comment section, as well as please, again, like this video if you've been benefited by it. Share it with others that you think may be benefited by such a talk like this or these talks on our channel. But also, we want you to subscribe to this channel. We want to build and create greater engagement as we have more and more subscribers. Again, please also put on those bell notifications so you can get all the notifications of upcoming videos. You're with the University of Karate, and we are looking to see you again next time.